So a little while back, I watched Mike Tyson's fight live show in Las Vegas on TV. It was a small venue, maybe 50 to 75 people in town, and he went through the various dramas of every day. Remembers from his life what that played out in depressive tabloids, but I learned a lot about what actually made up Iron and Iron Mike. From afar, you would think that his boxing success was just due to his brutal and violent nature and sheer body strength. But that would actually be missing a great lesson that we can all take away from this story today. Michael Gerard Tyson, by the time he was 13 years old, had been arrested 38 times. 38 times. And he had been sentenced to a juvenile center in upstate New York. Tyson wasn't the typical profile of a juvenile delinquent. He was a punchy, extremely shy, spoke with a lisp, and was afraid of getting into fights. In fact, he was regularly beaten up by the neighborhood bullies who dubbed him Little Fairy Boy. He was massively, immensely bullied in his childhood. Tyson was raised by an alcoholic mother and grew up in Proud School, Brooklyn, a, a rough neighborhood with people regularly shooting at one another. The constant sound of deafening sirens from police cars and ambulances speeding up and down the streets, robbers breaking into the windows, and young kids selling drugs to hookers on the street corners. That was Tyson's childhood, how he grew up as a child. Tyson's chances of escaping a destiny of crime, drug dealing, and early death were slim to none. But on March 1980, Tyson found himself in an old, musty boxing chair, a converted meeting hall. This chair was, and that was located above a police station in Catskill, New York, and was face to face with legendary boxing coach Cus D'Amato. Cus D'Amato was a short, bald headed Italian boxing trainer who liked Tyson. Also grew up in a rough neighborhood in the rocks of New York, and as Tyson said, didn't have a happy muscle in his face. Although D'Amato really spoke for itself, he had successfully managed, trained, and bred two heavyweight champions, Floyd Patterson and Jose Torres. So, not a common man for the boxing industry. After a short sparring session in a small ring, during which Tyson was punched in the nose and was bleeding profusely, Du Amato invited Tyson to lunch at his white Victorian house. It was during that meal that D'Amato turned to Tyson and said, "If you listen to me, I can make you the youngest heavyweight champion of all the time." Tyson flinched at the baffling words of the 70-year-old man he had just met, but committed himself to be under the tutelage and rigorous training regiment of the Amato, day in and day out as it went through. Tyson would wake up at 4 o'clock in the morning, run for 3 to 5 miles, and then train tirelessly in the gym for up to 55 hours and 200 rounds of sparring each week in the evenings. Tyson would spend hours watching and studying fight videos of the best fighters of all time and be in the bed most nights by 10, 9:30 p.m. to get up and just repeat this whole tired, spent, boring daily wrench being every single day for several years. And that is the lesson number one today. Success is never automatic. That's the lesson we have, number one, from today's story. Those you witnessed with unbelievable strength, talent, ability, genius, or giftedness, all of it, every single item is a product of thousands of hours of grueling, boring, tedious, mundane, and hard work in drawing out, shaping, and improving that innate ability or that innate giftedness every single time. And Tyson noted no one wants to get up and run at 4 in the morning, he said, he noted, when it's cold and it's pinched over. But it has to be done. And the only reason I do it so early is because I believe the guy isn't doing it. And that gives me the little edge over the other guy. That's what Tyson believed in. What are you doing that your competitors, your peers, other members of your family, your neighbors, people at your office, in your mastermind group, who whoever you look up to, what are you doing to train, to work, and improve simply because they aren't? To give you that little edge. Well, for Iron Mike, it certainly gave him the edge. 20 years old Mike Tyson knocked out 33 years old Trevor Berbick in just 5 minutes. And 35 seconds, that was his record. 5 minutes, 35 seconds. To become the youngest heavyweight champion in the history of the boxing, and D'Amato's prophecy did come to pass by the end of his boxing career. Iron Mike Tyson was inducted into the Boxing Hall of Fame, recognized as one of the greatest boxers of all time in the human history. When asked to share the secret to his success, Tyson turned to the wisdom of a slave trainer and a father figure, Cus D'Amato, and explained, quote, what he said, do what you hate to do. Do what you hate to do, but do it like you ought to do it. And there it is. At the end of this one man act is the final lesson from Tyson's one man show. What do you hate to do? But you know it is essential to your greater success. What is that you hate to do? And to the blossoming of your mastery of your innate talents and abilities. And what? I think it is the nuance, big tip takeaway today. Here is now that you know what it is, do it like you love it.